Hi there, I am the book lady, and boy, I brought two good books today. One is by Dr. Seuss. You are all familiar with Dr. Seuss. I know you are. The Cat in the Hat. Well, this is one of my favorite characters, Horton. Horton is an elephant. I even wore elephant earrings. I like elephants. And this is a wonderful book, and we're going to have fun reading it, and it's all in rhyme. What's rhyme? It's words that sound the same, like book and hook, or book and cook. Yeah, that's rhyme. Then a family for Louie. I got this book because I like Louie. How about that? And you're going to enjoy this to see what happens, okay? But we're going to start out with Horton Hears a Who. Here we go. On the 15th of May in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the day, in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked toward the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person was calling for help. I'll help you, said Horton, but who are you? Where? He looked and he looked. He could see nothing there but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air. I say, murmured Horton, I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that is able to yell. So you know what I think? Why, I think that there must be someone on top of that small speck of dust. Some sort of creature of very small size, too small to be seen by an elephant's eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking with fear that he'll blow in the pool. He has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him because, after all, a person's a person, no matter how small. So gently and using the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk through the air, and he lifted the dust speck and carried it over and placed it down safe on a very soft clover. Humph! Humphed a voice. 'Twas a sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Humph!" too. Why, that speck is as small as the head of a pin. A person on that? Oh, why, there never has been. Ooh, she's a grump. Believe me, said Horton, I tell you sincerely, my ears are quite keen, and I heard him quite clearly. I know there's a person down there, and what's more, quite likely there's 2, even 3, even 4. Quite likely. A family, for all that we know. A family with children just starting to grow. So please, Horton said, as a favor to me, try not to disturb them. Just please let them be. Well, I think you're a fool, laughed the sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said, me too. You're the biggest blame fool in the jungle of Newell. and the kangaroos plunged in the cool of the pool. "What a terrible splashing!" The elephant frowned. "I can't let my very small persons get drowned. I've got to protect them. I'm bigger than they." So he plucked up the clover and hustled away. Through the high jungle treetops, the news quickly spread. "He talks to a dust speck. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk with that speck on that flower." And Horton walked, worrying, almost an hour. "Should I put the speck down?" Horton thought with alarm. "If I do, these small persons may come to great harm. I can't put it down, and I won't after all. A person's a person, no matter how small." Then Horton stopped walking. The speck voice was talking. The voice was so faint he could just barely hear it. "Speak up, please," said Horton. He put his ear near it. "My friend," came the voice, "you're a very fine friend. You've helped us all folks on this dust speck no end. You've saved all our houses, our ceilings and floors. You've saved all our churches and grocery stores." You mean," Horton gasped, "you have buildings there too?" "Oh, yes," piped the voice. "We most certainly do." "I know," called the voice. "I'm too small to be seen, but I'm mayor of a town that is friendly and clean. Our buildings to you would seem terribly tall, but to us who aren't big, they are wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, for I am a Who, and we Whos are all thankful and grateful to you." And Horton called back to the mayor of the town, "You're safe now. Don't worry, I won't let you down." But just as he spoke to the mayor of the speck, 3 big jungle monkeys climbed up Horton's neck. The Wickersham brothers came shouting, "What rot! This elephant's talking to Whos who are not. They aren't any Whos, and they don't have a mayor, and we're going to stop all this nonsense, so there." They snatched Horton's clover. They carried it off to a black-bottomed eagle named Vladikoff, a mighty strong eagle, a very swift wing, and they said, "Will you kindly get rid of this thing?" And before the poor elephant could even speak, that eagle flew off with the flower in his beak. All that late afternoon and far into the night, that black-bottomed bird flapped his wings in fast flight, while Horton chased after with groans over stones that tattered his toenails and battered his bones, and begged, "Please don't harm all my little folks who have a much right to live as us bigger folks do." But far, far beyond him, that eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulders called back, "Quit your yapping, I'll fly the night through. I'm a bird, I don't mind it. And I'll hide this tomorrow where you'll never find it." And at 6:56 the next morning, he did it. It sure was a terrible place that he hid it. He let that small clover drop somewhere inside of a patch of great clovers 100 miles wide. "Find that," sneered the bird. but I think you will fail." And he left with a flip of his black-bottomed tail. Look, how are they ever going to find it? "I'll find it," cried Horton. "I'll find it or bust. I shall find my friends on my small speck of dust." And clover by clover by clover, with care, he picked up and searched them and called, "Are you there?" But clover by clover by clover, he found that the one that he sought for was just not around. And by noon, poor old Horton, more dead than alive, had picked, searched, and piled up 9,005. Then, on through the afternoon, hour after hour, till he found them at last, on the 3,000,000th flower. "My friends," cried the elephant, "tell me, do tell, are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well?" From down on the speck came the voice of the mayor. "We've really had trouble, much more than our share. When that black-bottomed birdie let go and we dropped, we landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken, our rocking chairs smashed, and our bicycle tires all blew up, and we crashed. So, Horton, please," pleaded that voice of the mayor's, "will you stick by us who's while we're making repairs?" "Of course," Horton answered. "Of course I will stick. I'll stick by you small folks through thin and through thick." "Hrumph!" hrumphed a voice. "Oh, for almost 2 days you've run wild and insisted on chatting with persons who never existed. Such carrying on in our peaceful jungle. We've had quite enough of your bellowing bungle. I'm here to state," snapped the big kangaroo, "that your silly nonsensical game is all through." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too." With the help of the Wickersham brothers and dozens of Wickersham uncles and Wickersham cousins and Wickersham in-laws who've helped, I've engaged, you're going to be roped and you're going to be caged. And as for your dust speck, that we shall boil in a hot, steaming kettle of bezel nut oil." "Boil it?" gasped Horton. "Oh, that you can't do. It's all full of persons. They'll prove it to you." "Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor," Horton called, "Mr. Mayor, you've got to prove now that you are really there." So called a big meeting. Get everyone out. Make every who holler. Make every who shout. Make every who scream. If you don't, every who is going to end up in bezel nut stew. And down on the dust speck, that scared little mayor quick called a big meeting in Whoville Town Square, and his people cried loudly. They cried out in fear, "We are here, we are here, we are here, we are here." The elephant smiled. "That was clear as a bell. You kangaroos surely heard that very well." "All I heard," snapped the big kangaroo, "was the breeze and the faint sound of wind through far distant trees. I heard no small voices, and you didn't either." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me neither." him!" they shouted. "Encage the big dope! Lasso his stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tie the knots tight so he'll never shake loose. Then dunk that dumb speck in the beetle nut juice." Horton fought back with great vigor and vim, but the Wickersham gang was too many for him. They beat him, they mauled him, they started to haul him into his cage, but he managed to call to the mayor, "Don't give up! I believe in you all. A person's a person no matter how small. And you very small persons will not have to die if you make yourselves heard. So come on now and try." The mayor grabbed a tom-tom. He started to smack it. And all over Whoville, they whooped up a racket. They rattled tin kettles. They beat on brass pans, on garbage pail tops, and old cranberry cans. They blew on bazookas and blasted great toots on clarinets, oompas, and boompas, and flutes. Great gusts of loud rackets ring high through the air. They rattled and shook the whole sky, and the mayor called up through the howling, mad hullabaloo, "Hey, Horton, how's this? How's that? Is our sound coming through?" And Horton called back, "I can hear you just fine. But the kangaroo's ears aren't as strong, quite as mine. They don't hear a thing, and you sure all your boys are doing their best? Are they all making noise? Are you sure every who down in Whoville is working? Quick, look through your town. Is there anyone shirking?" Through the town rushed the mayor from east to the west, but everyone seemed to be doing his best. Everyone seemed to be yapping or yipping. Everyone seemed to be beeping or bipping. But it wasn't enough, all this ruckus and roar. He had to find someone to help him make more. He raced through each building. He searched floor to floor. And just as he felt he was getting nowhere and almost about to give up in despair, he suddenly burst through a door, and that mayor discovered one shirker quite hidden away in the Fairfax apartments, apartment 12J. A very small shirker named Jojo was standing there, just standing and bouncing a yo-yo, not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp. And the mayor rushed inside, and he grabbed the young twerp, and he climbed with the lad up the Eiffelberg Tower. "This," cried the mayor, "is your town's darkest hour, the time for all who have blood that is red to come to the aid of their country," he said. "We've got to make noises in greater amounts, so open your mouth, lad, for every voice counts." Thus he spoke as he climbed. When they got to the top, the lad cleared his throat and he shouted, "Yop!" And that yop, that one small extra yop, put it over. Finally, at last, from that speck on that clover, their voices were heard. They rang out clear and clean, and the elephant smiled. "Do you see what I mean? They've proved they are persons, no matter how small, and their whole world was saved by the smallest of all." How true! Yes, how true, said the big kangaroo. And from now on, you know what I'm planning to do? From now on, I'm going to protect them with you. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, From sun in the summer, from rain when it's fallish, I'm going to protect them, no matter how smallish. Isn't that a wonderful book? Horton made a promise that he was going to take care of those little who's, because all people matter, no matter, even the very smallest. It's a wonderful, beautiful book. But so is this one. A Family for Louie. Here we go. Louie considered himself a dog of very fine taste. He knew every chef in town. Woo! Each day, Louie explored the city, and along the way, he stopped by his favorite restaurants for a meal. Oh, like a tall stack of raspberry pancakes with bacon for breakfast, spicy fish tacos with salsa and guacamole for lunch, or a plate piled high with fettuccine and meatballs for dinner. And he always had room for dessert. Louie ended each day with a bath, a good book, and a hot cup of cocoa. Oh, it was perfect. Not one thing was missing from Louie's life. He had everything he needed. Well, maybe there was one thing missing. It might be nice to have a family, thought Louie, but he wasn't sure where to begin. The next day, Louie saw a family having a picnic at the beach. He thought he might ask to join them. But when Louie approached, they were eating green Jell-O salad and sardine sandwiches. Oh no. Louie's least favorite foods. He couldn't possibly be part of this family. At his favorite sushi restaurant, Louie found a family with an open seat at their table. But when he tried to sit down, the seat wasn't empty at all. Ooh, no, that wasn't the right family for Louie either. They had a big cat. At the park, Louie met a family having a barbecue. Louie loved barbecue, and after lunch, the family invited him to play frisbee. But Louie just couldn't keep up. It seemed like he would never find the right family. Feeling blue, Louie wandered down the street where he came across a brand new bakery. There he spotted a girl he'd never seen before. Hi there, said the little girl. I'm Bee. Would you like to try a cupcake? Suddenly, Louie felt a little shy. But it wasn't long before they became fast friends. When Bee introduced him to her mother, Louie tried to look as well-behaved and handsome as possible. Can he come home with us, please? Louie tried not to get his hopes up, but she agreed. I love that picture. That night, Louie got a warm bubble bath and a home-cooked meal with his new family. And it was perfect. Now that was a very simple little book, but I think it was perfect. Louie thought he had everything he wanted. I mean, really? Fettuccine and meatballs for dinner hot cocoa, took a bath whenever he wanted. But then he realized he was missing what? What was he missing? Family. Yeah. And he looked for one, and then one walked into his life. That little girl just walked into his life. And then life was perfect. It's a beautiful little book. It's by Alexandra Thompson, and I just love it, and I love Louie. Horton Hears a Who. Now, you may be familiar with Whoville and the people who live in Whoville. That's the town where the Grinch, you know, the Grinch who tried to steal Christmas? Well, that's the town, Whoville. And this is sort of the first introduction to Whoville. And they're so small that they live, you know, those, we call them weeds, but you go, and they blow. They're dandelions. They blow everywhere. Well, they lived in there. That's how small Whoville was. But Horton, because elephants have big ears, he could hear them. And he knew these were people who counted just because they were small. And you know that kangaroo, she was really starting to ride my last nerve, I'm telling you. She was just not very agreeable. She was a whiner. And then when those monkeys and all their cousins and in-laws, their whole family decided they were going to tie up Horton, and then drop that clover, which had the town of Whoville, drop that into boiling oil. I don't think so. But it all worked out. And that kangaroo, she got it. She finally got it. Some people, it just takes them a little longer to get it. And this is what she said. From now on, I'm going to protect them with you. Yeah, because all persons, no matter how small, are important. That's a good lesson to learn. And Dr. Seuss wanted us to learn that. You know, his real name isn't Dr. Seuss. But that's the name he used when he wrote his books. And usually his books had good lessons. And where did I get my books? Come on, where did I get my books? You know where I got them. The library, because I love to go to the library. And I'm going to be going to the library in a few days to get some more books. You can also watch The Book Lady on YouTube. Just type in The Book Lady, go to YouTube, and all the books, hundreds of books that we have read are there. Oh, I hope you've enjoyed our 2 books today, and I hope that you will come back because the Book Lady will be here. Until the next time, what do I say? Bye-bye.